Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Freddie Genius, and welcome back to the Urban Originals podcast. Lately, I've been thinking about how power actually works inside organizations. Not the visible kind, not the stuff that gets celebrated in meetings or shows up on LinkedIn posts. The quiet kind, the kind you only notice when something breaks and you realize the person who held it together isn't in a room anymore. There's a difference between people who play pieces on the board and people who move the board itself. See, most of us are taught to focus on playing our role well. Do your job, hit your targets, be visible enough to get recognized. That's not wrong, but it's only one layer of how things move. When you spend enough time inside real systems, such as organizations, cities, institutions, you start to notice something else. The outcomes don't come from individual performances as much as they come from how the game is set up. Who has access to information? Where decisions get funneled? Which teams are resourced? What gets prioritized quietly versus what gets talked about publicly? See, that's the board. And the people who understand how to move said board rarely need the spotlight. See, they're not trying to be the face of anything. They're trying to make the machine run. You see this everywhere once you start looking for it. In companies, in government, community organizations, there's almost always someone in the background who knows how to move things through. They know who needs to talk to who. They know how to remove friction before it becomes a problem. They understand where the real bottlenecks live. They don't need credit for it, but without them, progress slows down fast. Now, see, what's interesting about that said role doesn't look impressive from the outside. There's no clean title for it. There's no obvious spotlight. In a culture that celebrates visibility, this kind of influence is easy to miss. But inside systems, it's the difference between things working and things stalling. See, being an engineer in school right now has changed how I see things. It's changed how I see this. You start to understand that performance isn't just about effort. It's about how systems are designed. If the inputs, incentives, and pathways aren't aligned, no amount of individual hustle fixes the outcome. Someone has to step back and adjust the structure. That's not glamorous work. It's patient work. It's connective work. There's also a temptation to chase visibility early in your career because visibility feels like progress. You get seen, you get validated, you get associated with momentum. But visibility without leverage is fragile. If your influence is tied to being seen, it disappears the moment attention moves somewhere else. People who move the chessboard build leverage instead. They become trusted across teams. They understand how decisions actually move. They're the ones leaders quietly rely on when something complicated needs to get done without blowing things up. That kind of influence compounds slowly. It doesn't spike, it deepens. You don't wake up one day and become that person. You grow into it by being reliable when it's inconvenient. By learning how different parts of an organization connect, by paying attention to what people don't say in meetings, by noticing where things consistently get stuck and helping unblock them without making it about yourself, without making it about you. None of this means you shouldn't aim for leadership roles or public recognition. It just means there are multiple ways to lead. Some people lead from the front, some people lead by designing the environment, others operate in. They both matter. The mistake is thinking the spotlight is the only seat of power. This becomes even more obvious in cities. The people who shape outcomes aren't always the ones you see at the podium. They're often the ones who understand how agencies coordinate, how approvals move, how resources get unlocked, and how timing works. They don't look powerful until you realize how much stops moving when they step away. If you're early in your career or even midstream and feeling overlooked, it might be worth asking yourself a different question. Instead of, how do I get seen more? Ask, what part of the board can I learn to move you to? Where can you become someone who reduces friction? Who connects the dots? Who understands the flow of how things actually get done? That kind of position doesn't always come with applause, but it comes with something more doable. Trust, influence, leverage, the quiet kind of power. This is the Urban Original Podcast.